There are just 5 days left in Donald Trump's presidency. His White House is being boxed up. He's now the only president in history to be impeached twice, and he's turning on some of his closest allies, including his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Yesterday, Trump became the first president in history to be impeached twice, this time for inciting an insurrection, and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made it official by immediately signing the document, which will then be sent to the Senate for a trial.
Signing and certifying the bill to make it official, the article of impeachment entitled Incitement of Insurrection. There you see it right there. So it's a done deal as far as the House of Representatives is concerned. That document now will be formally submitted to the U.S. Senate, where there will be a trial.
I don't think Pelosi intended this, but it's a nice little troll of Trump to hold up the document for the cameras, which was clearly one of his favorite parts of the job. He loved signing things and showing them off like he was doing story time at the local library. Does everyone see the duck? Right there? And where does the duck say, kids? Quack? I don't think so. But it's your dime. So the article will be sent to the Senate for a trial, which could happen immediately if Mitch McConnell were willing to bring the Senate back into session early. You might remember McConnell leaking to reporters earlier this week that he was pleased with impeachment and considering voting to convict Trump. Well, as usual, with McConnell, it turned out that was bull.
Mitch McConnell just sent a letter to his Senate colleagues telling them that he will not bring the Senate back early before January 19th to reconvene the Senate. Democrats wanted to have a quick Senate trial, have him convicted before he leaves office. That's not going to happen.
McConnell said he's undecided about whether he'll vote to convict Trump. He said, quote, "While the press has been full of speculation, I have not made a final decision on how I will vote, and I intend to listen to the legal arguments when they are presented to the Senate."
Of course, McConnell tried to polish his reputation by strategically leaking to the media that he was considering convicting Trump. And then when it came time to actually do something, chose the most craven option available. Trusting Mitch McConnell to do the right thing is like trusting Cujo not to bite you. Just give me a treat. I won't bite. I'm a good boy. Also, what arguments are you interested in listening to? Arguments like these?
It's not just about impeachment anymore. It's about canceling, as I've said. Canceling the president and anyone that disagrees with them. The Ayatollah can tweet, the president can't.
De Niro said that he wanted to punch the president in the face. Madonna thought about blowing up the White House. Kathy Lee Griffin held up a likeness of the president's beheaded head. Some have cited the metaphor that the president lit the flame. Well, they lit actual flames, actual fires.
Rather than actually helping American people in this time, we start impeachments that further divide our...
Your congressional power of declaring playground law. Not only do I call bullcrap, I regret to inform the Speaker that the impeachment has indeed bounced off of us and now sticks to you. By the way, that's Lauren Boebert, which also sounds like a playground taunt. I'm not a Boebert! The congresswoman who has bragged about her intention to carry a gun in Congress and who defied Capitol Police this week after they asked to search her bag. And I just want to say, you think carrying a gun around makes you more free? It makes everyone else less free. You get to cosplay as a Wild West sheriff and everybody else has to watch what they say because they're afraid of you. That's not freedom. It's intimidation. I'm sorry it pains me to say this, but I have no choice. I call bullcrap. Also, let's go to Matt Gaetz. First of all, your head looks like the ashtray I made in 3rd grade. And more importantly, what are you talking about Democrats lit actual flames? Are you insane? It was Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol, ransacked the place, left 5 people dead, and tried to capture or murder elected officials. And just a note, Gaetz, when you scream, you don't sound as righteous as you think you do. You sound like an angry frat dude telling the dean why it was actually Sigma Chi's fault the Greek row burned down. We had a small controlled fire pit for our annual beach-themed summer party, but Sigma Chi lit actual flame for their pig roast. Also, they drew eyebrows on our house dog. And now Rufus looks like a dick. Although I have to say my favorite example of GOP psychosis yesterday came from Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose name sounds like a child actor from ABC's TGIF lineup, but is unfortunately a GOP member of Congress who has promoted the QAnon conspiracy theory, which the FBI has called a domestic terror threat, said there's an Islamic invasion in the government, held up an AR-15 in a campaign ad, endangered her colleagues by refusing to wear a mask last week during the Capitol lockdown, and who voted to overturn the election results even after the riot last week.
Democrats are on record supporting violence when it serves their cause, in their own words, on social media, on interviews, and on fundraising polarizing platforms.
That's right, she's wearing a mask that says censored, in case you couldn't read it because of the microphone in the way. Do you know how dumb you look? You're speaking on the floor of the House of Representatives and being broadcast on national television. It's like LeBron James wearing a shirt that says, "Play me, coach." These people will stop at nothing to make themselves feel like victims. It's all they have. It's the core of their political ideology. They have no actual policies or principles. They just spin wild fantasies of persecution. That's basically what Fox News has been doing 24/7.
We impeached the president today without any evidence. It's just sheer hatred. If this becomes the norm, be careful what you wish for today. Under this theory, the radical left, if you can impeach a president after they're out of office, why don't we impeach George Washington? He owned slaves. Where does this stop?
You see, the point is to hold Trump accountable for his actions on account of, spoiler alert, being dead. These guys love to just make up insane fantasies because it's all they have. They have no policy goals, just scary imagined grievances to keep their base in line. They're going to try to impeach George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or Paul Blart, or maybe they'll send Ernest to jail, or hell, even worse, maybe they'll break Ernest out of jail so his crime spree can continue. I call bullcrap, Sean. So I guess those are the kind of arguments McConnell wants to hear in the impeachment trial. But even if McConnell delays the trial until after Trump leaves office, it's still urgently necessary, because if they convict him, they can also disqualify him from holding office ever again. And you know Trump will run again if he can. Right now he's sitting in the White House stewing by himself, watching literally loaded into boxes.
As the Trump administration enters its final stage, the first sign of the end of a presidency, a moving van outside the West Wing. Stacks of moving boxes were being delivered to the Eisenhower Executive Office building. The office will be undergoing a deep cleaning just before President-elect Biden moves in.
There are very few people left in this building, and I can tell you that having just walked through the West Wing in the last hour, the very few people who are still here are currently packing up boxes in their offices.
Trump's still president for 5 more days, but that place is emptier than a rest stop Cinnabon at 3 a.m. And man, I didn't think anything could be more cathartic than Trump losing and getting impeached twice, but actually seeing the boxes is pretty great. Love to imagine Trump piling all his stuff into crates, his oversized suits, his ties that are so long that no matter how you pack them, a little bit pokes out. And I sure hope someone is watching him pack, because he's definitely going to try to steal stuff. Sir, why is the bust of Lincoln being packed away? What? No, this is mine from home. I brought it's not actually a Lincoln. It's my uncle, Beard Trump. Mel? Mel, I need you to vouch for the bust. Mel? Mel? What? When did she leave? By the way, we wrote this joke right here about stealing the bus this morning. And then, as often happens in the Trump administration, this afternoon, this went down.
We're seeing what looks like moving day over here at the White House. You're seeing things, items coming and going from the West Wing. We saw Larry Kudlow leaving earlier today. Here's some video of a bust of Abraham Lincoln being carried out of the West Wing. Who knows? Maybe they're Purelling him. Maybe they didn't want even a bust of Lincoln to see a grown man cry in the Oval Office, or maybe it's an O.J. situation all over again. That's right. Just like O.J., they're going to nail Trump for stealing memorabilia. As the boxes arrive and the specter of a second impeachment trial hangs over him, it's hard to fully articulate just how much of a failure and disgrace Trump will be in the eyes of history. Even if you just go by the numbers alone, Trump lost the popular vote twice, both times by millions of votes. He got impeached twice. He lost the House by a record margin. It's been a reliably red state. Do you know how unpopular you have to be as a Republican to go 0 for 2 in Georgia? Imagine if Democrats lost control of the Senate by going 0 for 2 in California. James Carville would be on MSNBC doing tequila shots, crying into one of his squashed up hats, I'm assuming he stole from the dumpster behind a Louisiana thrift store. What's with this guy? He always looks like a little kid who wished on a monkey's paw to be a grown-up. Ah, Kyle Swaddle, not like this. Oh, you win this round, monkey paw. Oh, and on top of all that, Trump has also overseen the needless deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans, and will leave office with 3 million fewer jobs than when he took office, by far the worst jobs record in modern U.S. history. Even if everything else about him is forgotten 100 years from now, those numbers will be remembered forever. When it's time to do oral reports in history class, every student will want Trump because it'll be the easiest assignment. Michael, can you give us FDR's accomplishments? Well, he stopped the Great Depression and won World War II. Okay, but you forgot a few things, so B-. And Timmy, can you tell us about Donald Trump's accomplishments? He was friends with Grimace. A+, Timmy. You got it all. You could learn a thing or two from Timmy, Michael. And yet the harsh reality that we must reckon with is that, with only a few exceptions, the Republican Party spent the last 4 years colluding with this evil, and they knew it was evil. Ted Cruz,
Marco Rubio, Rick Perry, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, they all saw it. They even warned it about us during the primaries before deciding to shame themselves and join in. And even now, the vast majority of the Republican Party remains in the grip of a mass delusion it refuses to shake. The delusion that motivated last week's attack, that Trump won the election and that Joe Biden is illegitimate. These people have devoted themselves to the Trump cult. But if there's one thing we've learned, it's that no matter how much loyalty you show him, he's never, ever, ever going to repay it. I mean, look what he did to Mike Pence, or how about his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, the man who single-handedly led the charge to get the election overturned by flying from state to state, holding press conferences at landscaping companies, and meeting with every drunk loon he could find. Obviously, it was all a grift. Rudy was reportedly billing Trump $20,000 a day, and guess what? Trump doesn't want to pay.
President Trump is reportedly taking out his frustrations on his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, by refusing to pay him for his legal services. The Washington Post is reporting that President Trump is trying to stiff Giuliani, who has spent the past few months traveling the country and spreading conspiracy theories about the November election on behalf of the president. Giuliani is seeking $20,000 per day in fees. The newspaper says the president has not only refused to pay Giuliani's legal fees, but has told aides that all reimbursement requests for travel and other expenses need to go through him.
Impeachment was great, but there really is no more perfect way for this to end than Trump stiffing Rudy. Guy spent all that time flying to state capitals, rounding up witnesses from the bars at TGI Fridays and Buffalo Wild Wings, and now Trump won't even reimburse him.
Also, you owe me for that time I called into the hearing. I went over my minutes. Because, Rudy, you're not friends and you're not family. So those minutes are costly.
And poor Rudy needed that money for the end of The Sixth Sense, but instead of Bruce Willis realizing he's been dead the whole time, it's Donald Trump realizing that Rudy has, the whole time, been a bad lawyer.
Oh no. Wait a second. He was a bad lawyer.
Nothing Trump or Republicans say or do from here on out should be taken seriously unless they uniformly and unequivocally acknowledge the reality that the election was not rigged and that Joe Biden won, and apologize for their roles in spreading lies and conspiracy theories fomenting the insurrection we saw last week. Unfortunately, as we saw yesterday, too many of them have walled themselves off from reality. They live in a deranged fantasy world of grievance and victimhood, lies, conspiracy theories, and
bullcrap.
This has been A Closer Look. We deliver, cooks, and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We love you.